It's the Agorist Nexus podcast. I'm Brandon. I've got my great co-host Dag. How you doing, Dag?
Hey man, I'm doing pretty good. Had a little bit of a rainy day here today, which always gives me a little bit of a headache for some reason. But that's okay. We're getting by. We'll get through. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Been doing a lot of been doing a lot of stuff, trying to stay productive, and yeah, doing. This episode we've got a little bit different episode today. We're going to have video, so you guys can see exactly what we're talking about, and yeah. So if you want to check that out, it's going to be on Odyssey. Um, and I think we're going to start putting video up on like BitShoot and YouTube, but those two are not going to be really a priority or anything. So definitely check it out on Odyssey for sure. You want to just scroll down and show them our businesses real quick? I
Oh
was going to
yeah.
do this on my screen, but Dag is for some reason my internet wasn't working right, so Dag's sharing his screen here for us. But
Pushing
yeah,
my little
Oliver,
computer to the limit today.
and it's working.
Yeah. So
So
far we're doing all right. But yeah, guys, here's our listing page. If you have any businesses or know anybody who has any businesses who, if they're liberty minded, get a free listing on here, man. Get some free publicity and make it easier for all of us to shop with each other. I mean, I know that most of us would rather spend our money with other liberty people. I know I would. So, here's a good way to do it.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
It's also
instead of
where you
going
can
with big
find
corporations,
our
which we're going
articles.
to talk about. Yeah, articles, podcasts, documentaries, audiobooks,
Oh, see how slow she's
all.
being. There we go. There's articles.
And
That's my computer, not the website.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know if you want to. I'm like, are you sure you want to start clicking buttons?
Yeah. It's
But
like get all these tabs. So anyhow, so without
um,
further ado, should we talk about these fellas?
yeah, shout out to Presearch, decentralized search
Presearch.
engine. Don't get spied on by Google. Earn crypto for your searches. Keyword stakes you can advertise. So if you have like rabbit feed or something, you can get a word. You can get the word rabbit and feed. You can get both of them, and or rabbit feed. Just do all three with your pre tokens. You can keyword stake and yeah,
So I was gonna be really
it'll come
embarrassed
up.
if somebody bought that word out from under me. But see, there you go. Search
Yeah,
seeds for
seeds for
sale.
sale.
You get this awesome company right here, first one up. See, it's the only ad. They only give you one ad, and it's whoever stakes it. So the keyword staking is a really cool way to do things. For sure. I started wondering about paradoxes. Like, what if it's like your search is two words and it's each staked by somebody different? Maybe then you get multiple ads. I don't know. I've got questions, but it seems to work pretty well no matter what. So anyhow, um, you want to go ahead and tell the fine folks what we're going to be talking about today, or
Yeah, so basically, we want to go into what these major companies are like, who are their holders, right? Because when you see, we all know, like, from that movie, Mr. Deeds, which was really funny. If you own like one share of a company, um, of their stock, then you are a partial owner of that company, however small, right? So they're like paper assets, right? So let's go into our first company. Let's see what they're holding. So go into our first tab up there, if you could, Dag.
oh Tesla?
let's see who owns the majority. So if you go to Google Finance and you go over here to holders, show them where the holders button is on Google Finance. And if you type in you can type in any stock up top on Google Finance, you'll see that the top institutional holders here are Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street right here. Well, actually, Capital Investors is before State Street. So that's kind of cool. We can see how many shares they own. So Vanguard 58 million, almost 59 million shares. BlackRock 50. So yeah, this is Tesla. So we've got the main institutional holders here. Now we're going to check out Coke.
Oh, I'm on it. That's me. Time to shine. Not my internet's time to shine.
Always Coca-Cola. All right, so we've got Coca-Cola Consolidated Inc., BlackRock, Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, Dimensional Fund, and State Street. Okay. So now let's go to the next one. Now I think we're going to look at Walmart. We'll get some major retailers here. We've got Vanguard, always number one, BlackRock, State Street, Bank of America Corporation's on there. Let's go to the next one, which should be Costco.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
We've got Vanguard Group, BlackRock, State Street, Bank of America. I think that FMR is Fidelity, I'm pretty sure. So we'll go to Fidelity Investments. We'll go to the next one, which is Comcast. Holders.
Yeah. Getting it together. All right, here we go.
And so, no surprise, right? Vanguard, BlackRock, Capital International Investors. Should probably take a look at them later, but we got State Street. Let's go to the next one. So now let's do media, right? Let's look at all of our let's see if all of our media is controlled by. So
well, yes, we start with
Fox
retailers, and then the next level up the totem pole is kind of like the media, right?
So we've got Dodge and Cox Inc., BlackRock Inc., Vanguard, and you got State Street on there too. Now let's go to Dodge and Cox, right? That looks interesting.
Dodge and Cox. So there's got to be a joke there. Yeah. All right.
Got to be a joke. So yeah, let's see their holdings. Let's see here.
So this one is the holdings. So it's a little different thing. There we go.
Yeah, it's top not the holders, but
yeah,
but their top 10 holdings. What they hold is like Wells Fargo, Charles Schwab, stuff like that. So let's go to the next one.
And it was funny. Alphabet Inc. is actually Google. I think it's
and
Google
then you got
up in
Comcast on there. Yep, and you got Comcast. Well, that's what they hold, right? So
yeah,
that's interesting.
So okay, so now Universal, and that's the television studio, movie studio, media company, which
controls NBC, I believe, MSNBC, and all of them. So we've got BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. I need to take a look at that Dimensional Fund Advisors. That might be private company. I can't view private companies. So
LP.
Go to the next one.
All right,
Give me nightmares with that LP stuff.
No, dude, it's just showing up everywhere. Viacom.
So Viacom.
This is media
the parent company of. Yeah.
Yeah, they have several. I think movie studios, TV stations, billboards. They own lots of shit. And again, same shit.
CBS.
Yeah, we got like the big three here: Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street.
You even got Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs on there.
Yeah, they've been there.
All right.
All right. So another big Disney
So
company
those are the owners there.
or other big media company, Disney. Disney
And Disney
Viacom.
owns ABC, so that's like all media, Marvel, all that stuff. So you've got
Simpsons now
Vanguard,
somehow.
yeah, Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America. Next one.
All right. So now we're moving on into technology categories. We got Microsoft here, which again, Vanguard,
Billy
BlackRock,
Gates,
State Street.
State Street,
Yeah.
T. Rowe
Yeah.
Price. Next one.
Nice. This be Apple,
Yep.
Vanguard,
B Apple.
BlackRock, Berkshire Hathaway, and State Street. State Street got bumped down to fourth on this one. All right. So now the big guy, Google. Look at that, $2,922 a share. That's significant.
Yeah, them alphabet boys, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street is in fourth, skipping
T.
over
Rowe
T. Rowe
Price,
Price.
State Street.
Give him the Ron Paul
Yeah.
treatment. All right. So then finally, oh no,
You weren't supposed to mention them if you're doing the Ron Paul.
I know, you just skip. So in first, Vanguard, in third, FMR. So okay,
Yeah.
Vanguard, BlackRock, FMR. What do we term FMR? Is that Fidelity? And then
yeah, we'll have to pre-search it, but yeah, Fidelity.
I'm pretty sure it is because
Pretty
it's
sure,
on the
so.
list. All right, so then Twitter. Oh, Morgan Stanley in
Morgan
big first place.
Stanley,
Vanguard, BlackRock,
State
State
Street.
Street. I don't know, man. Is there a? Have we done enough to see a pattern forming yet? Is this?
No, I don't.
I don't know if
I
it's
don't think so.
scientific. I don't know if it's scientific yet or not. All right, so now, so now we're getting into big banks. So we sort of made it through some technology, social media, et cetera, et cetera. Now we're getting to big banks. And this is actually a new one. Go ahead.
Yeah, we should probably. I think I was looking at this Mitsubishi Financial Group. I think I was looking at them the other night, but anyways, I think if you add up all three of the BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and well, actually, yeah, if you add up those three, their amount of shares beat the other one. I think what is that, 60, almost. But then you've got T. Rowe Price, so add T. Rowe Price in there too. So, but yeah, I mean, there's this huge financial web, right? And so we'll go on to the next one. Well, what's after Morgan Stanley here?
All right. All right. So Pfizer.
Pfizer, Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street.
Yeah.
See if anybody else is on there. So maybe scroll down a little bit. Yeah, Bank of America, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So yeah, we're getting in. Yeah, go on.
So I just want to be clear then, because this stock stuff is new to me. So this is saying that these same people, they're holding that many shares of all these companies. So what is a fucking Vanguard Group or a State Street Corporation, or BlackRock? Like, what the fuck are they doing that they own all these? Like what are these entities?
Yeah, basically, in the corporate world, there's like corporations who have huge stakes or they're huge owners in other companies. So you've got like mega corporations owning other corporations who own other corporations.
And so some of these corporations, like, is their basic only purpose to like own parts of other corporations? Like, are these just like financial companies, or are there some of them that like do like other things? Like, if you're, like, obviously it shows like Walmart owns shares of other things, and other things own shares of Walmart, right? Is this just them like protecting
Walmart's purpose is to like sell products and stuff? Yeah. It's like some companies, it's hard to tell what their motives are, but there are like capital investment firms that will that are just like big investment firms that just are basically in like their whole job is to basically make money in the investment world. So there's investment companies that just hold massive amounts of shares in a lot of different areas. And I think Berkshire Hathaway is pretty much one of those companies. I mean, that's Warren Buffett's company. So I mean, that's how he makes his money. So we'll go to the next one. This is Johnson Johnson, of course, Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, right?
Yeah.
And you've got like Bank of America Corporation.
So getting into vaccine companies now, which is of course poignant.
And the crazy thing is that if and I think we've already passed media companies. So I'm going to say this. Look, like if with the media, you know how everyone says, oh, there's 6 companies that own all of media in the United States. But when you look at who holds these media companies, it's really just these 3 companies, Vanguard Group, BlackRock, and State Street. And you're like, okay, well, what about theirs? And we'll get into that. But I also want to mention that, okay, what if the media companies that are owned by these guys, what about if they own the vaccine companies too? Because who's going to report on things that that are important in terms of, like, I don't know, like, let's say if there was a particular medicine or some kind of injection that that people were taking for some illness or something, right? What if there was an issue with that? Well, if one company owned both of them, like who would report on that, right? Because I mean, you've got one owner over both that media company and both that mainstream media company and that vaccine company. So, definitely a conflict of interest. And what if that media company was actually just pretty much like propagandizing for that that vaccine company, which would be interesting. Let's go on to the next. Let's go on to Moderna.
Yeah. So here we go. No shocker here.
Moderna.
Um,
Vanguard, BlackRock,
State
Street.
Street. Kind of new, but the other ones they're all there. Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. Let's see. We got the other vaccines. Good old what's the AstraZeneca. We got good old T. Rowe Price, Prime Cap, Wellington, Capital International. There's actually a few odd ones. Goldman Sachs in there, Citigroup's in there, Bank of America's in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's since we're on the vaccine thing, like you just said, like conflict of interest, right? When these companies, they're all sort of co-owned and this and that. And let me be clear, like, wow, that really sounded like Obama. So like it's understandable and let's say expected for large companies to invest in that. When I say conflict of interest, I don't even necessarily mean in like a legal way, like they shouldn't be allowed to invest there or whatever. But the big issue comes into when we're talking about like media companies and news companies and these people who are supposed to be responsible for reporting accurate like news information to us when they have these ties with like the vaccine companies or the defense contractors or whatever. That is like an issue, right? Because that's like it kind of does prohibit them from doing their job. And I'm not even saying it should be a legal issue, but it should be an issue for like you if you're trying to get your news from these people. Like, hey, know who's feeding them, right? Because not only does it like with the stock market, but I mean you can just look at like who advertises for them. I don't know if I talked about this on another a previous episode, but somebody put together like a montage of like the openings from like these different cable news programs, and it was all like brought to you by Pfizer, like on all of them, like that was like who was sponsoring them. And then they go on to tell you about how there's this thing out there and you should really get this shot for it. And who just happens to make that shot. So it's kind of like, okay, well, how can you think that they're giving you accurate information? And you see the same thing with defense contractors. I was reading an article in like The Hill or something, and there's like a fucking like a Boeing a Boeing ad for like a helicopter. You know, it's like carrying a Humvee, this helicopter, and it's like, who the fuck's that for? Not me. You know, like I'm not buying it for. I mean, they wouldn't sell me one if I had the money. I don't know. I don't know what they. I don't know the laws on that. But at any rate, it's a moot point. um, but yeah, man, you get like that conflict of interest going, you know, and it's so visual in some ways, like with the direct advertising. I mean, shit, that's crazy. But even like behind the scenes, you know, you see that they're all this like weird conglomeration. So once we get past the vaccines, we start getting into big banks, right? So your T Rowe Price, that's it. That's an investment company. I know that, right? That's their thing.
Yeah, and they were the big owners of who again? They were AstraZeneca. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Uh, yes, AstraZeneca.
Yeah. So we'll see who owns since they're the big ones of AstraZeneca. We'll see who owns them. So okay,
Okay.
Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, J.P. Morgan, Bank of America. All right, no surprise, right?
Man,
So
this almost isn't fun anymore. It's almost like it's just too predictable. So the next one is Wells Fargo. Again, Vanguard, BlackRock, and FMR, which is Fidelity, State Street.
and then there's that
Yeah, Dodge and
Dodge and
Cox.
Cox, J.P. Morgan, of course. Okay.
Yep. So the next, actually, JP Morgan is Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Capital World, Wellington, Bank of America, Fidelity. Same old crew. Bank of America, Berkshire, Vanguard Group, BlackRock. Is who owns Bank of America. Not everybody's following along in video.
So
make sure I'm
so
being
yeah so
descriptive.
yeah so Bank of America again, Vanguard, BlackRock. Is State Street on there? State Street, yeah.
Yep.
Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, J.P. Morgan. So, okay.
Uh, Berkshire Hathaway. This is one that's been owner of a lot of them. Looks like the people hold it. Fidelity, First Manhattan. It gets a little more. Oh, Vanguard's on there.
But then you've got Vanguard's definitely on there.
Okay, so then Citigroup. Again, it's another big one. It's been on a lot of them. Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Bank of America, Capital World. Oh shit.
P. Morgan.
Yeah, man, this is ridiculous. Fidelity National, it's FNF. Yeah, BlackRock, Vanguard, Principal, State Street's on there. Yep. Charles Schwab. Is that the same ilk as Klaus Schwab? Is that the same Schwabs? It's got to be, right?
I think it's a different Schwab, but maybe they're related.
Oh,
who knows?
So now Goldman
who's
Sachs.
This is Goldman Sachs,
Yep.
Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, T. Rowe Price, Dodge and Cox. So
I promise, guys, we're getting to the end of this list.
So yeah, let's look at State Street now.
Now, State Street, this one, yeah, of course, we've seen them 100 times already. So State Street is, of course, Vanguard, BlackRock, Dodge and Cox, State Street.
Fidelity, J.P. Morgan, T. Rowe Price, Bank of America. Yeah.
So so you can hold your own stock. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
So BlackRock's probably BlackRock and Vanguard are the biggest ones on here, pretty much, because they're always 1 and 2. So let's take a look at BlackRock.
Yeah, and they're of course Vanguard and BlackRock.
Capital World Investor, State Street, Bank of America.
So BlackRock,
Fidelity, J.P. Morgan.
BlackRock's been coming up a lot lately. I've been hearing like don't they own properties? Aren't they like a commercial properties company or something?
Yeah, and they're buying up lots of like real estate and residential houses and stuff too.
Okay, residential too. Okay, it's rental property, isn't it? Isn't it rental property? Is that what I was trying to think of? Maybe that's what I heard. Okay, so yeah, because I heard people were worked up about them for people were because they're buying up like a ton of property, rental property, whatever. I guess sight unseen, like they're not even looking at the properties, like they were just buying up houses and shit. I don't know what the implications of that are, but I think that's where I'd heard of them otherwise.
Yeah, they're really pumping up this real estate bubble right now, and it's going to be interesting what their angle on it is, because I mean you know they're the biggest public company I know. Now we really want to look at Vanguard Group Inc., but they're a private company, and like if I now, I'm not saying that they're a shadow company pulling strings behind the scenes of all of these other major corporations, but if I did set it up that way, I would have Vanguard Group own, BlackRock and State Street and some of these other companies, and have them own everything else too. Um, so yeah, it's definitely an interesting world we live in, and everything seems to be controlled, and everything seems we when George Carlin said, they own everything. A lot of people are like, oh, he's a kook or whatever, but no, he was actually right. They own everything. They own every major corporation. You can just type in anything you want, and if Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street don't come up, they'll be the owners of the ones that do. So, and and yeah, it's this huge web of interests, and when you're talking about 2020, and you not only own all these corporations, but maybe you own the central banks too of these countries. And there's that famous quote by one of the Rothschilds. I think it's Amchel Rothschild, or Nathan Rothschild. I forget which one, but he says, "Give me control of a country's money supply, and I care not who sits on its throne," or whatever. I know I butcher quotes, but it's very true. It is very true, and they're they're the owners of all of these countries. So basically, what you have is, you have these countries declaring coronavirus stuff, and then these countries are like, okay, and especially the US, right? You can't shop anywhere except for Costco and Walmart. And then you have this big media push: COVID, 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 COVID. Wear a mask, COVID. Um, uh, 6 feet. And then you have just all of these companies just, and then fall into place even before the government makes all of these, even before the CDC makes all of these mandates, and FDA and everybody. And every single government did the same exact thing. It's definitely, you can't say that there's not a financial web that holds a lot of interest on the planet, and a lot of the wealth. And yeah, I mean, it's visible. It's right in front of our faces, and we can see it. We can see it every single day. Just take a look on the internet. So, if you're saying something that goes against, maybe, I don't know, if you're going against some medical procedure, right, and Facebook bans you, well, I wonder who owns Facebook, and I wonder who owns the vaccine company, and and start from there. What do you think, Dag?
I have a
Just a
couple.
crazy
No,
crazy
no, no,
tinfoiled hat.
no. I've got a couple thoughts. So, when I really started to notice this kind of thing, I don't know what we want to call it, phenomena, what the fuck ever. It was, I don't know, let's say 10 years ago, and I got this app, and it was called Boycott, and I probably talked about it before. but you can like scan barcodes and it bring up like the corporate tree of who owns that product. And it also bring up things like if you had certain causes, like if you're pro pot legalization, it would show you if they donated for causes for or against that, whatever your cause is, animal rights or whatever, so you could, vote with your dollars and shop, you know what I'm saying? Like try and give your money to companies who see things the way you do. But the trouble that you end up running into is you see that every product is owned by one of 6 companies. Like Burger King and Camel cigarettes are owned by the same company. It was just crazy. And so it made it really difficult to try to shop that way, to try to consciously shop, because basically any like product you bought in like a store that wasn't like made like locally was like, one of like 6 companies. And it was also frustrating because any company that's like pro pot legalization is anti-gun, and any company that's pro gun is anti-pot. So ends up getting to be too frustrating, and I just buy products that work now. Try to focus on that. But at any rate, you just really get to see that they're also interconnected like that. And then then this gets to be way more high level than what I can come up with. But when you see all the big banks and the media companies and just all the big everything is also intertwined, it's like, okay, so like BlackRock buying up all the property. It's like, to me, they could be doing that. Oh, maybe because that somehow puffs up a portfolio, which makes them look like they're more money, which makes all these other companies somehow trade for more dough. Or maybe because the big banks are just throwing so much money out there, through the Fed, or, the Fed does it through them, or, whatever, that then this,
or they know hyperinflation's coming or something, right?
Yeah, that it's, it's like insider trading to the max, right? Whatever people are concerned about with insider trading, it's like, these guys are creating everything. So it's like, all this shit's so like fake anyhow, like in my opinion, like stocks and shit. Like, I feel like it's a big fucking casino game thing. And I don't know. I don't play that shit, but it's like,
well, yeah, you could tell it's rigged, right? Because there's 3 companies that own like every corporation. And in some way, either directly or indirectly. And then really it's only one company, because when you look at State Street and BlackRock, it's like, okay, well, let me take a look at Vanguard, but Vanguard is that private company that they can the shadow behind. So it's really just in all reality, it's one company that owns pretty much everything. So
it's like in essence, like, of course it's a private company, bro, is like, like in like the, the real like essence of things is like valid, but in like reality and like this situation with like what we're looking at right here, it's like, what is actually a private company and what does that actually mean? They're also dependent on this fucking
on their monopolies from the government
financial thing, that it's like, it's I don't know what the fuck to call it. It's not even just government, it's some sort of fascistic modulation of a bunch of shit. I don't know, man, but it does it where it's it's the private company bro thing is like, well, like, again, in a free market, but right now things pretty fucked up.
Well, I have so many issues with the private company thing, because it's like, okay, well, it's not that I've got a problem with private companies. It's just you're using it to make it so that I can't complain right now. Like, I'm trying to say, hey, I've got an issue with you censoring me because I'm not trying to like spread violence or anything like that, or non-aggression principle all the way. And you're saying, oh, well, it's a private company. Well, I'm trying to tell the market, I'm trying to influence the market and tell the market, hey, that there's something wrong with this product because they're censoring me for speaking peacefully and saying that there are problems with the government. And also it's like, okay, is Walmart and Costco, are they private companies when the government says everybody has to shut down, but you can only shop at Walmart, Costco, and the major, what is it, Vons? There's like Vons on the West Coast, and then
I don't know,
King Soopers, and then the East Coast you've got like I can't even think of what they're all owned by one company too. All of the
Yeah.
Vons,
Well,
King Supers, places. What do you got over there in Florida
oh, well,
in
we
terms of
got
like big
Walmart.
grocery stores?
Yeah, no, we've got Walmart. Oh, for grocery stores, we got Publix. That's the crown jewel of Florida is Publix. Um, but yeah, as far as the big department stores, yeah, it's Walmart. I think Texas has like Heb or HEB or whatever you're supposed to say. But it's when I was before I considered myself like a libertarian or whatever, and I was like liberty curious. Like my whole thing is it was like, man, the one thing I don't like about like libertarians is it's like they just like suck billionaire dick so much. And I'm like, it bothered me because I didn't like
Yeah,
Walmart and I didn't like McDonald's. And then you sort of get into it and then you're like, oh no, well, they got to be that big because because they're these great companies that run things great. And then you get a little more into it and you're like, oh, well, actually, if the government wasn't helping them in so many ways, they probably wouldn't be that big. And there probably actually is a
I
problem with
wouldn't
them
have
being that
a
big.
big of monopoly. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like it just like everything, or I mean, any like this, we talked about this recently too. Any like this great technology, it's scary because of what the government does to us with it. It's like I really wouldn't care about targeted ads if it wouldn't be so creepy if I wasn't worried about the government watching my shit, right? And so it's sort of like same thing with this. If we lived in a free market and a company got that big, they were either doing something really nefarious, right, or they were just doing something really great. That's how they got that big. But it's just so hard to judge things in that light in the realistic world we live in, unfortunately, right now. So but shit like this is just more. I mean, this should be this should reinforce what we already think, which should be like a positive thing because we just know we can't rely on that shit. Can't rely on that shit. We need to make our own systems and get our own shit in place. I mean, this is like a fucking house of cards, right? I mean, this is gonna fucking collapse. I mean, it has to.
yeah. And it just kind of shows you if there's like a couple companies that own almost every stock directly or indirectly, when their stock market crashes, oh, I wonder who caused that, right? Like the reason why you have crashes is because there's um, people who are selling really quickly and there's like zero buyers, so or very little buyers. So it's the system is definitely rigged. Um, Corporations and governments are in bed with each other. Um, that's something that Konkin hits on the head, and I think like the difference between like a libertarian, the big difference between a libertarian and agorist is that an agorist knows that corporations are um, basically merged with government. So um, that's the big difference I see. And then of course the agorists don't waste their time playing in a rigged system in terms of politics, which I'm actually in the middle of writing an article for. It should be pretty decent and have a couple things in it that maybe people haven't thought about in terms of politics. So definitely be looking towards that article in the next week. I've worked really hard on it, so
Shit, yeah, man, it's awesome.
hopefully you guys like it. But and I wanted to start writing it uh, before I read Saul Mayweather's anti-politics book, and before I read Graham Smith's article on politics, because I really just wanted my own, which is up on the Nexus right now, because I really just want my own thoughts and words on paper before I even hear, you know, um, anything. I don't want to be, even though they're great. I just want my own,
You don't want to be accused of
thoughts on it.
plagiarizing or anything, so you just say I didn't read it.
Well, I really haven't read it, so
Wouldn't it be hilarious if you didn't or whatever, like they came out being like exactly the same
like
thing?
exactly the
It's like,
same.
no, bro, I swear.
Yeah,
Hey, great minds, dude. What can you say?
yeah, but but yeah, I Yeah, definitely check out Saul Mayweather's book Anti-Politics. But with that said, I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up, unless you've got something else. And we don't want to act like we're the first ones coming out with this knowledge. We're not. I think that we were doing research for our documentary, but then there's a couple other big names that came out with this knowledge. So I don't want to act like we're breaking new ground, but if we can show a couple new people, hey, there are these there's like this stuff that we don't usually see, and because you kind of sit back and think that like all of these companies are like competing for market share and stuff, when really like it's just like major companies that own them. So yeah, I think that quote will do the Rothschild quote to end it.
Oh. Oh man, we were just both having noisy backgrounds today.
Yeah, Mexico, man.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on in my kitchen, but there was like banging noises. I had to text my wife. I was like, "Hey, stop that."
Yeah, dude, I've got like fireworks and like Mexican bands playing and like dogs barking.
Dude, it sounds like a tropical pet store in your background sometimes.
Yeah, there's like all these tropical birds and like roosters going off.
Before I was the rooster guy. I had the weird animal sounds and stuff, but you definitely surpassed me.
Yeah, dude. Like all my neighbors have roosters. So, and if one goes off, usually like they all do. So,
Oh yeah.
Okay, so here's our quote. Unless there's anything else you want to.
Nah, man. Dinner's ready. Let's get out of here.
Great. Give me control of a nation's money supply, and I care not who makes its laws. Mayor Amschel Rothschild, founder of the Rothschild banking dynasty. Agorist Nexus out.
Peace.